Hey everyone, it's ENDYMION, and as this video comes out, it'll be the official launch day for Star Wars Outlaws. Aren't you excited? Can't you wait to play yet another Ubisoft open world game with a strong female character that can single punch knock out fully grown adult males with her bare hands? No? Yeah, me either. Outlaws is here, and it's not being received too warmly either by critics or fans alike, so let's talk about all kinds of nonsense. From glitches, bans, early access saves being erased, as well as how there's a very weird trend of bad releases coming from AAA studios lately, and finally at the end we'll talk about Dustborn. To start, it seems that if you bought early access for Outlaws, you may have had all of your progress erased from Insider Gaming. Star Wars Outlaws early access players are being asked to restart with new saves. I should state before going forward that these issues with Outlaws, apparently it only affects the PlayStation 5 version of the game. However, considering how large of an install base is on that system to begin with, this is still a really big deal and it makes Ubisoft look even more incompetent. So like most games Ubisoft makes, they offer multiple tiers of the game from standard to gold and ultimate. Pretty much the higher the tier you go, the more digital goods you get, like season passes, pre-order DLCs, or skins to use in-game. But players who paid more for the 3-day early access got a really bad surprise recently. Turns out once Ubisoft rolled out the newest patch prior to the actual launch of the game, which is version 1.000.002, it has now made all saves and playtime on PS5 versions of Outlaws prior to the install pretty much erasing your game and just making it unplayable. Ubisoft and developer Massive Entertainment say this is happening because the update is not compatible with the previous version of the game. But you would think for a major release like this that they would release this patch prior to having early access become available to players who already paid for it. But of course not, because incompetence is Ubisoft's middle name, so naturally, anyone who put any time into Outlaws has now had their saves deleted and they have to start from scratch. Of course, you're likely wondering, well then what happens to those users that paid extra to play earlier then? Ubisoft will apparently reward them with some in-game points and some DLC items as a sorry, but if you ask me, this is sheer incompetence and is a terrible look for Ubisoft and Massive. Because if this happens to what is arguably your most important release of the year, besides Assassin's Creed Shadows in November, you can't be doing things like this. Especially to early access players who are arguably your most loyal consumer base. I mean, they paid over $100 for Star Wars Outlaws, for God's sakes. If they're willing to do that, then they are loyal. And to have their loyalty met with their save files getting erased, yeah, it's not a good look for Ubisoft and Massive right now. Of course, if you have any problems with the game and you want to voice your opinion, that is also not being allowed either. From Park Place, Star Wars Outlaws subreddit reportedly bans users for criticizing Ubisoft's game. So a user named Ugly Coyote reached out to Park Place and told them that the subreddits for Outlaws are being controlled with an iron fist before launch. And not only that, but they are silencing and banning anyone who tries to talk about the game in a critical light. This is what Ugly Coyote said, and I quote, "Reddit Star Wars Outlaws is banning and silencing people who are critics of the game during early access, also deleting posts. Found myself victim of this myself after I got reports from other people saying that they were banned. This looks like damage control before the game officially launches this week. I asked them with no reply, then I asked for the moderator name who banned me, and I was muted for 7 days. There were a lot of posts deleted on Star Wars Outlaws Reddit, and me and a friend replied to those posts also voicing criticism about graphics, performance, and so on. There were a lot of posts deleted on Star Wars Outlaws Reddit, and me and a friend replied to those posts also voicing criticism about graphics, performance, and so on. So my friend then posted about censoring posts and was banned for posting non-related topic comments for I think 3 days or so. In that deleted post, many said their friends got banned also. I got banned when I questioned the age of a user and his beliefs by stating that he blindly believes propaganda and described the critical parts of the game like performance, hardware needs, uglification of the main character, and so on. Also, I said he should be aware of false media hype like IGN, end quote. So Ugly Coyote also provided proof that they were indeed banned, as you can see on screen here, so they were telling the truth. But it's very obvious that Outlaws moderators across the board are running damage control like crazy prior to the release of the game. And actually, it reminds me a lot of Helldivers 2's mod team as well. Which, if you don't know, Helldivers 2's mod team was banning anyone who was right-leaning in how they thought or presented themselves, essentially creating the Helldivers official Discord servers into left-leaning echo chambers only. And if you spoke out of line, even a little, a moderator would ban you instantly and with little reason. This is, like I said, now happening with Outlaws, and of course it should be said that the subreddit might not even be supervised or controlled by Ubisoft themselves or Massive, since anyone can make subreddits on anything, but it's very obvious that the people who are controlling the subreddit are still not allowing for reasonable criticism or talk about the game unless it's overwhelmingly positive. Which of course is ridiculous because this game is very obviously not getting a positive reaction. I mean, I can just show you a couple of clips of how Outlaws is running out of the gate for early access players, and it's not looking good. Here's one clip from Mongoloyer on Twitter.
Hey, I hit the jackpot.
No kidding.
And here's your half. Told you it would pay off.
Wow. You actually delivered.
And here's another clip from Nick Tech showing the next-gen facial animations of Outlaws, and by next-gen I mean nightmare-inducing. Here, take a look.
Yeah, he wouldn't. But he told me you could mod my speeder.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I've got every part you could want. I mean, mag fins, aftermarket sensors, booster coils.
How about a hydro repulsor?
Oh. No.
You just said every part I could want.
I mean, I could slap the repulsor on there now. That's no problem, but without some good Durasteel struts, it'd shake loose in a day or two.
Another streamer named Grim Hollywood also showed, as they too played early access, that Ubisoft has made it impossible to actually fail the mini-games that are within the game. And in fact, all you need to do is blindly press one button until Outlaws just solves the puzzles for you. I'm not lying either. Take a look at this clip.
This is the worst minigame ever. Like, so you're supposed to match these up. It's like Wordle. You can just spam it. You can just spam it. Look, watch this. It does it for you. It does it for you. I'm not thinking. I'm just clicking. Watch this. Just does it for you. And there's no, don't run out. Look, you think that you run out? You think that you run out of tries? Nope. Nope, you're good to go. Look, I'm just clicking. I literally just clicked randomly. There's no way to fail that. It's an impossibility. They made it impossible to fail that. They want to hold your hand through the game so much. Holy hell. Like, let me get in there, man. Let me, you know what I mean? God damn it.
As if all of this wasn't bad enough, another YouTuber named Reforge Gaming showed a clip of Ubisoft's open world looking like a jumbled mess of errors, so let's take a look at that now too.
That must be Miragana City.
What the?
Nix, get that back down.
I could keep going just showing you clips of how buggy and messy Outlaws is, but I think at this point you've become an expert on this by now. The game is clearly not finished, it's not running properly for most, and like I said, if you paid extra, your save files got deleted already. And then if you try to voice your opinion on the less than stellar quality of the experience that you paid good money for, you get banned for hate speech.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
The situation surrounding Outlaws, it's like a perfect cocktail of headaches. And it's obvious that Ubisoft pushed this game across the finish line in its current state just to hit the release date to satisfy investors and try to recoup the cost of the game. But if you take everything that I've presented already, not to mention how about a week or two ago Ubisoft got exposed for massaging the wallets and brains of influencers with fully paid trips to Disneyland, and tons of swag to take home with them, it's very obvious that the positive buzz surrounding Outlaws is not genuine at all. It's more like fabricated excitement being ordered by some dictator who explicitly demands that everyone enjoy themselves and smile in their presence, and then if they don't, well, they get tossed in the gulag. A friend of the channel, whose name is Stuttering Craig, you know him from the Side Scrollers YouTube channel, he had some stuff to say about the game as well. He said via Twitter, "I have an insider who works for high traffic game stores in one of the most populated places in the USA. They have 27 stores in that area, and there have been a total of 41 pre-orders for Star Wars Outlaws. 41. There is no hype for this game." I believe Craig. He doesn't seem to ever say anything without some source behind him. I mean, side-scrollers exist in the first place to allow people to speak on things candidly. And Craig has in the past had people on that don't even like him because he thinks it's important to allow both sides of any argument state what they really think on things. And I respect Craig for that a lot, so if he says that Outlaws is apparently not having many pre-orders, I do believe him. Craig also said that Assassin's Creed Shadows is also not having much luck either in the pre-order department, saying that the game has less than 800 physical pre-order units secured over 900 different stores, which is not good at all, obviously. Of course, this growing sentiment of these games nobody asked for kind of falling out of the gate has caused game journalists to get very sour. PC Gamer recently had their article, "The eagerness to grave dance on unpopular games has become a bad habit." They state that games like Concord, which I've already reported on, have been getting unfairly ridiculed and clowned on by the general gaming crowd in PC gamers' opinion. They say at one point in their article, if you release an unpopular game, everyone is suddenly morally justified to shame and embarrass you. Whether it's because all big budget games are bad or live service games are bad or you did too much woke, pick one. I think this article and what it's trying to argue against, it perfectly aligns with the reception to not only Concord, but Outlaws and others as well. I do think that the Gamergate 2 situation has obviously grown over the months, and has now become what can only be considered a behemoth of its own making. And I don't say that in a bad way either, mind you. I think this is a good thing. Finally, the gaming community and all of its intricate smaller groups has aligned and assembled like Avengers against these ideologies. So many of these games have ugly characters in them, like Concord does. Or they deliberately go out of their way to make their female characters ugly on purpose, like Outlaws has as well. And in Outlaws' case, it makes even less sense, because the actual actor, Humberly Gonzalez, she is a good-looking woman. There is no reason to change her face at all. Not only that, but Kay Vest, the hero of Outlaws' body, was also nerfed too, when again, Humberly Gonzalez is a fit woman with natural curves of her own. It's objectively being done on purpose to appease to the modern audience that never shows up to support you. And I guarantee you, if and when Outlaws fails to impress Ubisoft's investors, we are likely never going to see this uglification of characters and pandering in the future. Especially in Ubisoft's case, they simply just can't afford these sorts of failures for much longer. They're already in the red, and they're hoping that Outlaws and Shadows pulls them out of the metaphorical shadows financially, but I don't really see it happening. The community is far too united in its cause, and nobody is believing the lies anymore. Every game website just reads more like propaganda than actual news, and ultimately nobody's going to listen or fall in line when they know that objectively this is all being done in bad faith to push narratives on people. Claiming that players are dancing on the graves of woke games is a dumb thing to say, because what it really means is that you're just angry that people have standards that they look up to. It also comes across as desperate, like when someone complains when someone they're into isn't interested in them. People don't need to cater to your needs like you're a child. People are allowed to have standards when it comes to what they want to consume or live by. The simple truth is, I look at Outlaws or Concord or even Dustborn 2, and I just see propaganda. I see complacency, and I see stuff that I've already seen dozen times before. The PC Gamer article claims that people don't like Concord because it's in a saturated market, which yes it is, objectively so. However, that's not all. I mean, just because you release something in a saturated market doesn't mean that it can't succeed. Marvel Rivals is also a hero shooter like Concord, but the difference there is that Rivals has attractive character models and a really cool art style. And while yes, also Overwatch is pretty identity politically driven too, credit where credit is due. Because the art team over there is insanely talented and they know how to make compelling characters. The problem with Concord, and even Outlaws, I mean Outlaws is an open world third-person shooter game. Exactly how many games with those mechanics exist already? Dozens at this point. But why do other open world experiences flourish or hero shooters, but Outlaws and Concord can't? It's very simple. It's because Concord and Outlaws are deliberately nerfed and ugly on purpose. And nobody wants to buy a Concord character figurine because why would you? There was one article floating around saying that Concord has lost $200 million for Sony already, but I couldn't personally verify if the article was true or not since I couldn't find the source of it myself. So I can't say for certain if that is indeed happening for Sony, but in Outlaws' case, you're giving players an objectively run-of-the-mill experience that has glitches and bugs galore as I showed you already, that went out of its way to portray its hot female actor as some weird mongoloid flesh creature, and then you demanded money for this very obviously not polished AAA experience. Not to mention, like I said previously, that Massive and Ubisoft's game ended up deleting saves on PS5, and the game has the typical AAA Ubisoft Metacritic scoring of the mid-70s like always. This game is run-of-the-mill typical Ubisoft stuff. Also, apparently, the game has tons of stealth and there's many moments where you have to stealth, and if you get caught, you're then forced to restart. Even Paul Tassi, the Forbes writer who probably hates me for speaking out for gamers, has said himself that he's not enjoying Outlaws and thinks many of its systems are bad, like the forced stealth missions. When even your most stalwart defenders can't muster up the words to protect you, and their job is to be a writer for a website? Like, what are we even doing here, guys, at this point? I would say if you still wanted to play Outlaws because it's Star Wars, remember that it is made by Ubisoft. And what I mean by this is that their games drop in price dramatically very quickly all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a 50% off sale a month or two from now on this game already. And to be honest with you guys, Ubisoft could turn this game around and make it a banger, like that is still on the table. All they really need to do is obviously patch the ever-living hell out of this game so the bugs and glitches don't occur. That's a very good start. And then they need to admit defeat and just fix Kay Vess's face and give her the actual actor's face instead. Like, are you so stubborn, Ubisoft, that you're willing to lose hundreds of millions of dollars just because you don't want to admit that the modern audience ugly female angle is not working out for you? Because look at Stellar Blade, the first Descendant, even Wukong has attractive women in it, and like 99% of that cast is monkeys and other animal freaks. People are just sick of these ugly character models. There's no future for this kind of narrative when it comes to entertainment anymore. If you want to make everything ugly to appease the modern audience, it's your right to do so, but if you want to stay in business, I would implore you that you make these changes quickly. Because to be honest with you guys, I would play Outlaws if the game didn't run like hot garbage and Kay Vess actually looked like Humberly Gonzalez. I'm not asking for much, Ubisoft. Just make the character look like the woman that she's based on. Stop making women ugly, stop nerfing them. Let women be women. It's actually more misogynistic of your company to be making females look like they're wearing Halloween prosthetics than just allowing them to be who they naturally are. Make women hot again, Ubisoft. Stop the nonsense and let Humberly Gonzalez look like herself in the game. You're diminishing her hard work because you want to make some woke freaks who aren't going to buy your games anyways happy. As Michael Jordan once said, stop it and get some help already. Finally, let's talk about Dustborn, because that's a game that exists, doesn't it? From Park Place. Dustborn developer appears to confirm game features stolen assets, disparages men, and threatens to push gay agenda in video games. Also, fun fact, as of the making of this video, the game has around 19 players on Steam right now. You're probably thinking, how can the devs survive on sales like this? Well, it turns out the game is not really a game meant for commercial consumption like any other game. It is actually propaganda. Grumps pointed out that Dustborn can be found in the European Union's projects, And as you can see, it even shows how long it took to make, which according to the documents, it started development in 2019 and ended in 2022. Weird that it only came out now, but alright. And you can also see the grant of $150,000 and even the action of the propaganda, which in this case is video games obviously. So whether the game does well or not, it doesn't seem to really matter, it only exists to push narratives. Yes, we're at the point where games are being funded like activist commercials or billboards. Crazy, right? The devs behind Dustborn, which are called Red Thread Games, this isn't even their first flop or even their second. Here's 2 more of their previous games, and as you can see, for a developer that keeps making games that nobody plays, they just keep on existing and getting funded anyway. Because the dev studio has found a loophole in the system where they can just keep getting grants from taxpayer money, and then just using that to fund themselves to make their next DEI slop simulator without cause or concern. And that's kind of crazy, isn't it? Because obviously if they didn't have those grants, these devs would have been closed down years ago. What's extra funny is that the game has been shown to have mechanics where concepts like bullying or canceling people are made to be effective ways of getting what you want, and no, I'm not kidding. The cancel one says, "We've learned how to cancel someone. Cancel will allow us to isolate people from their friends and compatriots in battle. This could be a useful tool against enemies." Wow, that's a little on the nose, don't you think there, Dustborn? Claiming it's a good thing to be able to isolate individuals from their support structures in order to get what you want is totally fine and not at all crazy behavior. And this other one says, "We've learned how to normalize negative emotions. Normalize gives us the ability to make people think certain behaviors or feelings are normal, but I'm not sure it will do much for us in a fight." Another reads, "We've learned to bully people. Bully gives us the power to force people to do something they may not want to do or to make them feel bad about themselves. In fights, this could be highly effective on targeted enemies." I don't know if it's just me, but do these read less like game mechanics and more like an informative video of some kind meant for younger people to play so that they can learn things? Because it seems like to me that that's what Dustborn is really meant for, and honestly, the way education is going, I could really see schools using video games as an effective way of teaching their students about concepts within a medium that they want to interact with. That to me anyways is what I think Dustborn's ultimate reason for existing is. It's likely going to be something given to students to play for free via their curriculums, I guess, to teach them about bullying and more. Which could be a good idea, however, of course, like any good intention, it never ends up that way. Dustborn has been rightfully criticized for painting white people as awful human beings, and treating their very diverse and woke cast as paragons of virtue that we must all strive to become like. A friend of the channel, Savvy, actually bought Dustborn for research purposes and played it on stream. By the way, she actually beat the game too. And to say that she lost her mind and almost ended up in a straitjacket would be a massive understatement. So here's a little bit of Savvy's stream. I encourage you to watch her stream yourself if you'd like to, but let's say thank you to Savvy for suffering so that we didn't have to. She's a brave soldier on the front of the war. But here's but a taste of Savvy suffering through Dustborn. My condolences to your eyeballs and ears, by the way, but here, watch.
That's more like it.
They didn't. There's no.
Goddamn freaks do not belong here. Watch your tongue.
What is this game?
Stand aside.
What is this game? What is this actual game? She has
You
to
can't
manipulate
silence
people.
all of us. We have a right
Fred.
to speak.
Hey,
I
Fred.
told you.
I'm
She's
right
using
here.
her freak weapons to control us.
Can you even hear me?
The truth will come out, and we will regain our liberty. You can't silence all of us. We have a right.
Yes, silent the dissent.
What did you do to me?
Your mind was infected with disinformation. I just...
Liar. She's messing with my mind again. She'll do the same to all of you if we don't stop her.
That's what she just tried. She just did that. She just did that. She actually did just try to do that and try to sow discord into a crowd.
What do you want?
She literally did. Just try. She
Even
isn't.
when we were kids, no one liked you. They all teased you for a reason. You're the freak here. They'll see through this charade. They'll see who you really are, a sad and pathetic child who...
Lies. She's messing with our heads again. But we won't let her do that.
No.
How are you in the right if you tell somebody that they're worthless?
Can't you see how crazy this is? Fred's filling your heads with nonsense because she's sick from the...
The only sickness here is you and your freak friends. And Annie, who's been plotting against us.
Hey,
What? What do you want?
Fred's your enemy.
What? No.
None of this is Annie's doing. It's Fred. All of it. She's lost it. She's been poisoning you with her paranoid delusions. Do you really believe what she's been telling you? She wants to replace Annie. To take control of Liberty.
What?
She is the traitor. Annie's trying to keep you safe. All Fred wants is violence and discord.
That's what
No,
you're
that's
doing!
not true.
That is misinformation! She wants the weirdos to leave, that's it!
She's the one who's been telling us Annie's the problem. It's Fred. She's been spreading discontent, poisoning everyone with her delusions. Yeah, you're right.
Y'all going after the barefoot girl!
It was always Fred.
That's not true. Come on, Annie's been...
Fred, just shut up.
And as you can see, Savvy was rightfully losing her mind while playing this game, and before you ask, hey, will you play this? Sorry, but no. I still have Black Myth Wukong to get through, Visions of Mana is coming in the mail already, and Space Marine 2 is out soon as well. I don't really want to waste what precious little free time I have already listening to a bunch of woke devs just finger popping their bungholes thinking that they're making the next big industry changing game or something. Dustborn is a game where you play professional victims who believe they are being oppressed by oppressing people themselves into thinking that they're actually the oppressors. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if games like these are integrated into curriculums going forward. Hell, it would not surprise me if game design courses use Dustborn as examples of what young developers should be striving towards when they eventually make their own games. And if you make games like Dustborn, you will go bankrupt. Or I guess you could use your government's grants and waste taxpayer money, creating slop like this for nobody to play, except content creators so that we can all laugh about it, but this is where the industry is right now, which is rightfully so on flames. These DEI slopfests are failing big time, and placing them up against Wukong or whatever else is just an even more stark reminder of how good gaming could be versus what the industry seems to want it to be. I really hope executives at game publishers are watching these games failing and learning from their mistakes. Because I don't think spending hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in time to make something that can't break 1,000 players on Steam like Concord is a good use of your money, but what do I know? I'm just a based gamer who's apparently an awful person because I don't want to support these things. From Star Wars Outlaws, Concord, or Dustborn, these initiatives keep failing, and you have to wonder when will it end for these companies to finally see reason. Hopefully this video doesn't get limited ad revenue either, because last time I talked about Outlaws, the Ubisoft Gestapo came for me, so if you could drop a like and maybe a comment, I would appreciate it a lot. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and all of that. Thanks to my patrons and members, and have a great day, everyone. I will not be playing Outlaws anytime soon, because I gotta go back to playing my magical monkey game, and I'll see you soon.